Hello, happy Thursday, everybody. It's Josh here with On the Wrong Lead. Got a fun show for you this week. Saratoga sucks this weekend for some reason. I don't know what's been going on. Saratoga has been doing its best Santa Anita impression, and this week is no different. Mark, explain yourself. Why is Saratoga like it is?
Honestly, well, I don't really have a lot of excuses. Vanderbilt normally comes up as a really big field size race. Just came up soft this year and just not that great of a race. I think there's a couple horses in there that no one really wants to run against. Can't blame them for ducking the race. It looks really good for breeding rights. And then you have the Dandy, where there were a lot of horses I was expecting to see, and a lot of them are skipping and going straight Travers. So I expect the Travers to be a real good race, but Jim Dandy did come up a little just lackluster, and it's kind of face off of two interesting names. We'll see how it looks. I think some of the undercard races over the weekend are extremely good. There's some very competitive allowance fields. There's some very competitive maiden fields, but I agree. The big feature races, not that great. And Del Mar, just the features are better out there right now. So I'm as much of a Saratoga fanboy as I am, which I am about as big as they get in that regard. It came a little soft.
So while you are the biggest Saratoga fanboy, I can't say that this guy is the biggest fanboy I know, but he's the second biggest Skyline Chili fanboy I know. Mr. J. Jeej. Talk to us about Skyline.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the second, I would love to meet the first guy because Skyline is amazing. So
you know who the biggest Skyline fan is.
I think I have a hunch. I could probably guess who it is if I had to.
Yeah. Mr. Edward DeRosa. I mean, just the man just he just smells like Skyline Chili 24/7. I think I don't know if he's got a cologne or if it's just like embedded into his skin at this point, but
yeah, we should probably send him like a care package. Maybe he's probably having some withdrawals, if I had to guess.
Oh yeah, I forgot he's in like Virginia or something this week, isn't he? I know he's not. I don't think he's home, but yeah, Jay, thank you for hopping back on. I know you've done a couple of these with us before. I know you've done the podcast at least once when we talked about one, you're just magnificent calves. I mean, geez. But secondly, that big old hit at Kentucky Downs where the lady had to count your money out like 7 times because the wind kept on blowing that money everywhere.
Yeah, listen, anytime I can hop on with you guys, it's always a pleasure. So happy to be here and looking forward to diving into these cards.
So before we kind of get into this weekend, Mark, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about last weekend, and Caleb's he says that he's had a flight to catch tonight to go. He's coming to Chicago. We're gonna hang out this weekend, but I think he might have taken an early flight to duck you.
I think he may have. I had one of those Saturdays where I basically could do no wrong. But no, I thought the Haskell that happened last weekend is really interesting. I think there was a lot of everybody want to see the Jack Christopher versus Taiba face off. I know people were talking on Twitter that Taiba or whatever. I heard Jack Christopher is going to win by 6. Seemed like all the Twitter wise guys were all over Jack Christopher, and then I heard some other very smart people. I'll accuse Caleb being smart in this regard, but he was all over Taiba, sort of the, Baffert owns this race. Baffert always ships. Taiba's going to run huge. And I think both of those horses were pretty darn exposed. I think I think it's really interesting. I think we were talking about those two becoming potential 3-year-olds going into the fall, summer campaigns through the fall towards the Breeders' Cup Classic. Would they be major players in the division? And I think, both were very, very exposed. First off, Jack Christopher clearly has distance limitations. That was something I thought he may have going into the race. He was campaigned oddly by Chad. Chad sort of took his time and didn't stretch him out and was waiting sort of later in the year to finally stretch him out a little further. And he was a horse that, if you looked at 7 furlong races, he was winning by 15 or 20 lengths, just destroying fields. And then when they stretched him to a mile, fields it was a little more competitive. And so I was sort of wondering, could he stretch out? And about top of the stretch, he threw out a boat anchor and decided he was done running for the day. And then, you had Taiba, who sometimes he's back. Seems like Taiba may be one of those. Maybe he needs a little bit of I don't know. I don't know. I think he may have been overhyped. I think maybe some of the figures that he had run may be a little bit dressed up. And he was sort of exposed to being a very talented horse, obviously. I mean, Cyberknife did have to break the track record to beat him. But, I think if you look at somebody like Cyberknife, he was a known quantity at the distance. He was a horse that is obviously still improving, got a little bit of a freshener off his spring campaign, and he ran massive. I know Josh and I were both very interested in him in that spot. We sort of got laughed at by our third member of the team, and that one felt pretty good.
You know what you said? You were like, "Oh, this is a very important race for the future." No, you just wanted a crow.
I just wanted to dunk on Caleb. Yeah, I did just want to dunk on Caleb.
No,
I think it's interesting. I mean, Jack Christopher is going to come back, probably be pointed towards, I would imagine, a 7 furlong race. It's going to be interesting. Do they want to run him, at the mile, at the Breeders' Cup, or do they want to run the sprint, which is the race with a bigger purse? In Taiba, sort of, how do they manage him? I would imagine they'll probably try to get into a race at him, at more of a classic distance at Del Mar, see if he can take a step forward and then point him towards a fall campaign. I think Taiba is the one that does have that. Can he take a couple of steps forward? Can they get him really rolling? But if you looked at the hype going into the race, he was supposed to win that by 10, and all of a sudden, they run the race, and a little bit more of a known quantity that we know can get that distance, and we know is a solid horse, ends up pulling off the somewhat of an upset.
Where were you on that race, Jay? Where did you kind of land?
Yeah, I wish I could have like a hot take and say that I was on Cyberknife, but I wasn't. I took the 2 favorites in Jack and Taiba. But I will say this. I think after watching the race, I'm not the biggest fan of Flo, but I think he gave a hell of a ride. It was a very patient ride, right up the rail, didn't try to do anything fancy, and I was very impressed. And so consider me on the Cyberknife bandwagon at this point.
Yeah, I thought it was just a great ride. And I saw some people kind of giving Mike Smith a little bit of crap with the going wide, and that cost Taiba the race. I mean, I'm not really sure. I thought he gave a good enough ride on Taiba. I just think that Cyberknife just got maybe got a slightly better ride, or maybe got a better ride, and that was a difference there. But
I was going to say, I think there's an argument to be made that Cyberknife could have won by quite a bit more. If you watch him at the top of the stretch, they sort of floated him outside, checked him, and then moved him back inside. He definitely had some momentum taken away from him. So I think there's an argument to be made that Cyberknife actually could have been an even more impressive victory than he had, if he hadn't been sort of checked and sort of had, a little bit of a, I don't know if you want to say it was a rough trip, but he definitely didn't have as smooth of a trip as he could have had. It wasn't one of those situations where one horse just perfectly trips out and has this absolutely perfect trip. He had a little trouble to overcome, and I thought he performed extremely well given that.
The breaking news just came across my desk. Chelsea Bailey has announced that she's going to move her tack to Del Mar Racing for the summer.
And get 3 mounts or what? I mean,
dude, look I don't make the news. I just tell the news. All right. So looks like Chelsea Bailey announced it on Twitter.
Was this like a hot off the press sort of thing?
Yeah, about 40 minutes ago. Shout out to Greg Murphy for posting that in our private chat. Okay. Foxhound coming in hot saying, "Oh, wrong. Why did it send?"
Well, because I may have clicked the other one.
Oh, it's like, what the heck, man?
Oh, okay.
See, this is the problem with giving Mark any type of admin privileges is he starts getting click happy, and then he starts clicking stuff. Foxhound saying, hot take, Cyberknife doesn't hit the board in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I would venture to agree with him at this point. But
Yeah,
I think that the older horses are just better still, but
yeah. I think I don't. I think it's a hot take. I would. Let's see the next race out of Cyberknife. Let's see if he can back up that one huge performance. And if he can, then I think it's a very different conversation. I don't think we've seen quite enough of him yet. We're hoping he takes those steps forward. Does he continue that momentum? That'll be interesting. Or does he, bounce or potentially regress? Was that a one-off fluky race?
was this what you clicked originally? Nick Feldman's?
Yeah, that was the one I actually clicked originally, and I thought the gallop outs were pretty similar with the two of them. I don't think one of them was massively more impressive than the other. It wasn't sort of like Cyberknife pulled up immediately. So I don't think I think the argument that Taibo was sort of rolling late and was going to get there eventually doesn't really hold a lot of water.
Jay, the other Jay, saying that Chelsea's going to get Mike Smith's mounts.
I mean, it can't be a downgrade, right? Like that's got to be an upgrade.
Yeah, and also, what the heck is up with our chat? Like, literally, we come live and Nick Feldman's booming a $45 double here. Charles saying he hit the high five for $1 in the last race. By the way, FYI, Mark, guess who won the last race? It was a turf race.
Won it at 6-1 or whatever. Yeah, I saw that. And how I don't understand. And I really quickly handicapped the race, and it seemed like a 2-horse race, and that was one of the two. And I have no idea how that horse went off that price. That was absurd.
Yeah. That's what I get for streaming instead of just being a complete degenerate. Andy saying that he thought that Taibo was going wide by design. I wouldn't doubt it. That's that's a Baffert move. Baffert move is
that's that Mike Smith move, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. And to your point, Cherry, I saw the same sort of disrespect on the ride, but I thought that's exactly what they were trying to do. I don't think it was any fault of the rider. I just think it didn't work out.
No, I mean, how many times do you see these grinding Baffert horses, right, that sit 3 wide in a 3-4 path, and then they just go down the stretch and just put everyone away?
Yep. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't think the ride cost the horse any lengths. I mean, and I don't know why, and I also don't understand why people get so ticked off at horses coming down the middle of the front stretch. They want them on the rail all the time, and it's not always the best place to be. And I don't think there's anything bad for that swinging momentum outside move. I really like that. It works a ton. You don't get pinched off. You can keep your momentum going. Somebody from the inside comes out, you're clear on the outside. And also, a lot of horses don't like being penned up between a horse and the rail. They would rather be out in the clear. So no, I thought the ride made. I think people who are criticizing that rider just wrong.
See, I love to criticize riders, but I have absolutely no idea what the heck they're doing. So, I mean, I really that's why I sit behind a screen and don't get on a horse. I mean, besides the fact that I'm 6'3", 290. I mean, let's forget that part. But
you'd be entertaining on a horse. I'd pay good money to see that.
So, did Arlington, or now known as the Starbucks, I think it was Arlington. Maybe it could have been Hawthorne that did this. Maybe it was more of a Hawthorne thing. But basically, one of the local Chicago tracks had a match race with 2 guys from a sports talk radio show, ESPN 1000, and they did a match race, and one of them fell off, and I think broke his arm or something. And it was just man, a terrible idea to do this. And sure enough,
I see no way that could end other than poorly. Right? How does that end any other way?
Yeah, I just remember I think they both got suspended too after that, because why would you do that? But I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. How that idea got so far and then actually went through with it. These were not small guys. One guy is a former defensive lineman in the NFL, and the other guy is just an out of shape comedian. I couldn't believe it, but
okay, because Nick Feldman's bringing all the good content today. I got to really ask: is the Arlington Million going to be run on green stuff? Considering rumor mill has it that the turf still has not taken ground or seed, and apparently they can't grow Kentucky or grow grass in the bluegrass state. It seems a little odd to me, but that is the rumor mill that they may run the Arlington Million on dirt.
No, I heard that if it doesn't, I heard that if they can't run it on grass, they're just not going to run it. So they're going to run it on grass. Like if because at that point, if there is still grass and it's just like not salvageable, like they'll run on it and then they'll have to tear it off and start it from a new again. Like, but they're going to run.
And it'll take another 2 years before they can grow grass again there. Like that's the.
I don't know what the heck they were thinking. Yeah, Lloyd saying Taiba has been disappointing for better so far. I agree.
Yep.
I loved him going to the Derby. I thought that was
that
was it. And
as well.
All right. Oh, the John Candy of jockeys. Goodness, that would just be a nightmare. Yeah, let's pull the PPs. Let's talk some racing here on Saturday. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna talk through these two stakes purely from I don't know how much money I'm gonna bet Saratoga that this I don't really like the card. I think that these last races, these stakes races, really just water down any sequence they would be a part of. But like I said, that's looking at it from a betting perspective. Anytime I can see Jackie's Warrior run, it's good. I mean, like I just love seeing this horse run. So horse is 1-5 on the morning line, which I think is as low as it goes. Right? Have you ever seen a horse go any lower than 1-5 on the morning line?
I have never seen Aragona put a horse at shorter odds than that. I don't think I've ever seen Aragona put a horse at less than like even money, which he. So I think this may be the shortest line I've ever seen out of him, and probably rightfully so, right? I mean, I think, the argument here is that the jockey has to effectively fall off for Jackie's Warrior to lose. I think that's how most people are looking at it. That's probably how Aragona is looking at it. And I don't think that's necessarily a wrong take here. I think, obviously Jackie's Warrior in the spot is going to be extremely tough. He's 4 for 4 across the surface. He has, won his last 3. Seems like no one can even come within 4 or 5 lengths of him. This is his trip. He's going to be just super tough in here. I think there isn't a potential for an upset, but things have to absolutely shape up perfectly for this race to, not have Jackie's Warrior win. So
interesting.
Yeah, I actually completely agree. I don't think I'm going to be like a wise guy and really try and beat Jackie's. But I will say, I believe that Jackie is getting a weight of 127 pounds. So if you're like a weight player, I think there is like that 6 to 11 pound difference from the other jocks. So maybe you can look at that angle. I think the one knee deep in now is getting like a 10-pound break. So if that's something you kind of look at, might be worth trying that maybe.
Knee deep in snow, yeah, the one.
Yeah, knee deep in snow. Yeah, I think my only argument to get around Jackie's Warrior is, we have seen with Jackie's Warrior that he's just freakishly fast early. But in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, he got quite a bit of pressure early, had other horses with him early, and sort of collapsed in the stretch. So there's a part of me that I think Knee Deep in the Snow has to go. He's got a ton of tactical speed, and he's inside drawn. Is there a situation where the two of them go hook up and maybe set this race up for somebody like I don't know, maybe New York Traffic or somebody like that who can, kind of sit that pocket trip, sit just behind. You need very much the right odds. You need to have the right kind of ticket structure. It's not like I want a lot of money going through somebody like a New York Traffic for that scenario. But I think it's a very, 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 very outsider scenario. But, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with New York Traffic is the horses never won a graded stakes. I think it's just in way too deep here. I don't disagree with that take. Like, obviously, I'm going to try and find something to play against Jackie on a ticket, but it's a little bit difficult in this field.
Yeah, I have no intentions of touching this race with a 10-foot pole. I think Jackie's Warrior is, above and I just don't see a way around the horse that's not just complete fuckery or something stupid happening. And I think maybe if we had like some type of maybe closer off the pace type horse in here, maybe like you take a shot and use underneath, right? If you had like some kind of long shot closer, but like what you think Willie Boy's going to come off the pace? Like
I think he
I don't
is. I
know.
think that's probably how he runs his trip. And I think if that's the horse you want, yeah, I mean that's the other one. I landed on whatever. If you're trying to upset here and you're trying to get around Jackie's Warrior, but again, if you're playing that ticket where you think there could be some sort of hookup and this race comes apart, maybe Jackie's Warrior isn't really cranked for this race, just giving the the field that signed up. You probably buy this on some sort of a ticket. You sort of take every horse that isn't Jackie's Warrior, and you're playing that, toss the favorite and try to find an outsider. There's some value in that. You're not right very often, but when you are right, you get really paid for it. So there's some there's some merit in taking that kind of a structure.
Yeah, I will say this: if you're on the Willie Boy train, I do know that Delgado mentioned that he's been breezing the horse coming from off of it, so they are trying that tactic here, knowing that's what's going to probably play out in this situation.
Yeah, Nick Feldman, sir, again pointing out, and not to highlight everything that Nick says, Jackie's Warrior has definitely been faster at 7 and 6.5, and maybe at 6 furlongs he's a little vulnerable. 6 furlongs is somewhat of a specialist distance. There's horses that can get 6 but can't get 7, kind of horses. But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting there. But again, I think the outside play there is to have opinions other places and maybe play a pick 4 or pick 5 that's really skinny, because 99% of the public is going to be singled through Jackie's Warrior. So you have to try to find, if you're going to basically buy the race outside of him, how do you find value other places? It's all a ticket construction game at that point. It's less of a real handicapping opinion.
All right. Well, we talked a one horse race for about 20 minutes, so
we're good like that.
Let's move on to the Jim Dandy here. Race 9, going to be going a mile in the 8th on the dirt. This is what we're talking about with these small fields. I mean, I have a hard time with this type of race because you got 5 horses in here, and 3 of them are at least, 3 of them are in the top 5 or 6 of the 3-year-old horses.
Well, it's the top 7 Derby finishers are in this race. So
top 7.
I mean, 3 of the top 7.
3 of the top 7. Okay.
That way, yeah.
I was like, it's a 5-horse race. How are the top 7? Yeah, but I get you. Yeah. And then you get Tawny Porton here too, who won that stupid race, and when I called him a dirt horse or a turf horse, won the Ohio Derby. So yeah, that was great. But your morning line favorite is going to be Epicenter by a nose at 3-2. Then you get early voting at 8-5, Zandon at 2-1, and then Tawny Port at 8-1, and then Western River, who I had not heard of until this race.
I believe Western River is actually entered into the Friday's Curlin, so I would imagine this horse scratches here, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would imagine the intent is to scratch, just given probably this field is quite a bit over his head. Maybe not, longer term, but I think at this point in his career.
Yeah.
Is the Curlin on Friday?
Yes.
This Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
That's right. We were talking about this. How stupid.
Yeah, we were talking about this. This is NYRA just being morons with how they manage their races. When you have a 3-year-old, dirt route race, and then and then the next day have another one, and it's just a purse difference. There just aren't enough of those horses that can get a mile and an eighth out there, and it would be much better if NYRA took and maybe moved the Curlin to the back end of the Belmont meet or to opening weekend, at least spread them out a little bit, give trainers more options to point towards. It's a really kind of terrible job of sequencing these races out because they're right on top of each other, and they're technically both become then preps for the Travers, but that's just it's just bad sequences. It gets really kind of stupid.
Well, it's all right. The Curlin, a maiden breaker for Chad is 7-2, so I think that tells you what the field for the Curlin looks like. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if you're looking at, when you're looking at the Jim Dandy, you can make a case for almost everybody in this race. I think everybody wants to see Epicenter where he doesn't have such a absolutely absurd, pace scenario, and then probably bounce to the moon off his Derby effort, which was, obviously massive when he ran in the Preakness. Early voting has a massive pace advantage in this race. That horse has just a ton of early foot. I don't see a way which he doesn't get super loose in here. I think it's sort of one of those scenarios. Yeah, it is your Preakness winner. I almost wonder if Aragona kind of has these two backwards odds wise. I would imagine just being Saratoga, that early voting probably ends up being your favorite come post time. And I think both of them are really interesting, and I think those are your two most likely winners. Zandon, we haven't seen him in a bit, since the Derby. There's always a chance that he's developed and taken that next step forward. He sort of feels like the other Chad, and I think he needs a pace setup that he probably doesn't get in this race, with early voting kind of controlling the pace. And I would imagine that Jose can sort of walk the dog on the front end with early voting. So I don't think really Zandon gets a setup in here. And then there's I realized Tawny Port had that win last out. I don't really, I realized Wedebario and Classic Causeway were both in the Ohio Derby. I don't really know if either one of those are actually that good of horses. Are they really kind of allowance horses that were on the Derby trail?
Classic Causeway, who just won a G1 on the turf.
Well, but this was the Ohio Derby was not one run on turf. That's kind of what I was going with. Yeah, and you always get this. You get these Derby horses that are very talented, and they're actually a turf horse, and they move them to the right surface, or hey, they end up cutting back to the proper distance. Oh yeah, you're really a miler, but we tried to stretch you out, and you're just really talented, so you want to prep. It happens every year.
So you said a lot of words. Did you have an idea? Like, are you just going to use all here if you play anything?
No, I'll have Epicenter and early voting equally. I have somebody in chat is going to give me crap about that, but I'm going to be probably looking at this from a pick 5, and I don't know. In all honesty, I probably don't actually end up playing the two feature races. I'll play others. I'll spot play other places on the card. I think the two of these races both chalk out and make it so that this late pick 5 doesn't pay much and really isn't that interesting of a sequence unless you're trying to hammer it, which is what our good buddy EBD would be trying to do through here. I'll take all their spots on this card. It's a really good card on the undercard wise. It's just the two feature races is just kind of, I don't know. They're races that you want to be there and you want to see and you want to be able to say I was there when, but they're not races that you necessarily want to be betting.
I hate you with defensive B alert, even though you didn't take it.
I saw. Yeah.
You deserved it.
I did. I probably did. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I did something.
Yeah. So I'm more interested in what Chad is actually thinking here, just because of the fact that I know early voting and Zandon have been working together recently. So it's like, what does Chad really want to do? What are the tactics there? And then I agree with Mark. I think I'll probably lean on Epicenter. If you actually go back and watch the Preakness, the horse got a little pinballed, a little bit squeezed at the beginning. And then as Joel is bringing the horse around the turn, he actually lifts his left hand and tries to adjust his goggles during the race. So it's like, it just was not an ideal trip. And I don't think this horse has really done much wrong. So again, I don't really have a wise guy pick here. I'll probably lean on Epicenter and hope for the best.
Yeah, I'm not betting through this. I think the Del Mar card is just a much better proposition. I haven't looked at the early yet, so maybe I'll play something early here, but this late sequence not super interesting to me. However, gun to my head, I would probably take early voting in the spot. But it's kind of price dependent because I could see a world where early voting goes off as a favorite and Epicenter goes off a little bit longer,
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Like if something stupid happens and Epicenter is 2-1, I would fire a win bet. I just don't see that happening. But I kind of like what you said, Mark. I kind of think that early voting is going to have it all his own way on the front end. But I mean, someone did point out, Charles. He said that he doesn't think that speed's been super great so far, and that stalkers have kind of been a little bit better. And I mean, if anyone's going to stalk here, it's going to be Epicenter.
Yeah.
So maybe Epicenter just gets the best trip. Finally, doesn't have some stupid pay in front of him, and gets the best trip here. So I mean, like, I guess maybe I'm hoping that the Chad money is crazy and early voting gets bet down, and maybe I get a fair price on Epicenter. But I don't know, like taking like hoping that a horse is going to go off at 2 to 1 to bet it. Like it just like doesn't like it doesn't get me excited, you know. And there's nothing really before or after or in this sequence where I feel like I can lean heavily on that I would want to play it, but.
Yeah, Nick threw the stat up here. The E types have won 40%. EPs have won another 40% of those route dirt races. That seems about right. I will say there's a little bit of wonkiness just given the fact that first couple days the track didn't really play normal. I think they were still trying to get the track sorted out after moving up from Belmont, and then again when you get rain, it does screw the bias up a little bit. So, but I would agree that I think in those route races. You wanted to be kind of a stalker. You wanted to be just off the pace, get that pocket trip.
That's going to be a fun race to watch.
It
I
will
mean,
be.
I kind of agree with you, Mark, that like any horse wins this, I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, except for the one horse, but the one horse hopefully is not going to be
Probably
in there.
not in there. And
But like if Tawny Port pulls off an upset, like I'm going to be like, oh well, this horse is the late bloomer, like
late bloomer
maybe
getting good
figure it
late. Yep.
out.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be a fun race to watch. But I won't have any money going through this. But we're gonna switch over to Del Mar. We got a late pick 4, which I think is a good sequence, and I'm excited to talk about this. But before we do that, Mark, what do you got in your glass tonight?
I'm really boring, and I just poured myself some red wine because I just figured. I don't know. I had a
Was
bit
that
of a
out of
rough
a
night.
box, Mark?
It was out of a box. Yeah, it was out of a box. It's been that kind of Saratoga meet so far. No, I was did a little partying last night. Had a bit of a rough night, and I figured glass of red wine would be good. Just keep it nice and simple. Nothing fancy.
I actually picked up a couple of cans of wine. I
Dude,
like
those cans of wine are awesome.
the
Especially
Underwood stuff. I think the Underwood stuff's pretty good.
Underwood stuff is really good if you're at the track. It's really nice. If you're not a Saratoga person, you can't bring glass on track. So, those cans of Underwood are great. Or there's a couple different companies that make pourable cardboard containers of the little mini boxes of wine. It looks like I don't know, coconut water container or something. But those are nice as well. They pack easy, travel
I'll
nice.
tell you what, man. I don't hate those. I think it's called house wine. They make
Yeah.
just like bubbly, some kind of brute. I don't hate that walking down the Las Vegas Strip at about 9 o'clock in the
No,
morning.
I'll tell you,
So
Underwood also makes some really good bubbly. They make a good rosé. They make a good, fairly decent champagne. Nothing fancy, but it's nice and it's cheap and it's great. Perfect.
Jay, you had something exotic over there. What do you got there?
Yeah. Well, speaking of early voting, I have a Presidente. So it's a Caribbean beer that I was lucky enough to find here in Cincinnati, and it's going down pretty smooth.
And I'm refilling my glass here because I got a store pick of Maker's Mark here from a liquor store nowhere near me. But my buddy was nice enough. I always tell him that if he ever sees these Maker's picks, just to text me because he travels for work all the time. This is a nice little Maker's private select here.
Is that like the 46 that's barrel select of the 46? Because it looks like that's that barrel or that bottle.
It's that bottle, but like the way they do it is like they use like different staves. So and it's a single barrel. So 46 is in the single barrel. This one is.
Okay.
But
I used to grab those when I went to visit my sister. The New Hampshire liquor stores always have the fun ones. They have, and they'll give you tasting notes for the barrels and stuff. It's really
right. They got like the different numbers and stuff on them.
Yeah, different numbers. It's cool to grab a couple and just try and be like, oh, I can taste the apple in that one or whatever. So that's fun.
There was one like maybe a year or two ago I got from this liquor store, and it was all French mocha staves, and it was just
Ooh.
unlike anything I'd ever had before. It was really good. But
Very nice. Cool. That sounds good.
yeah, Nick Feldman saying he's in Cincinnati. So
Nice.
Nick, what are your feelings towards Skyline Chili? I didn't see you jump in earlier.
That's what I was
So-
going to ask. Is he a three-way guy, a cheese coaty guy? What is it?
That sounds
The
all
fact
of
that you
it
guys
like all of
put-
it just sounds horrible for my stomach.
Did you guys put like sauce on spaghetti and then you call it chili? It's just so confusing. It's just
Mark, don't
Cincinnati is a
make me
weird
call
place.
Ed. I'll get Ed in here right now to defend this.
Oh, Nick just says trash.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
That is the proper. Yes. I agree.
Gold
Mr.
Star Gordito.
Oh, that is the local rival to Skyline. That's funny.
Oh, really? It's another chili place?
It is, yeah. It makes literally the same exact menu. It's just not well known.
That's so funny. Yeah, Murphy saying Nick is based. Skyline is nasty. I've never heard you talk about Gold Star, Murphy. So,
Well, guys, it was a good stream. I'm just gonna leave now.
although I think it is smart that you're with the Presidentes, because I want to say last time you had IPAs and you were like slamming them. You were feeling pretty good, I think, by the end of that stream.
Yeah, I learned my lesson from that one.
That's how I am with the bourbon too. I'm usually like 3 glasses deep by the time we're done with this. Yeah, the Bing Crosby 6 furlongs here for 3-year-olds and up. Del Mar, you got a nice field here. Your morning line favorite's going to be Shaz at 7-2. And then you got Drain the Clock and American Theorem at 4-1. Principe Carlo and Let's Get Lucky at 6-1. And then you get, Bag Boss 8-1. You get longer shots here. I already see. What's that? Ed DeRosa's music. What's his band? The Hold Steady. Hold
Yep.
Steady is his favorite band. So yes, the Hold Steady is playing somewhere, and Ed DeRosa's in the corner crying. I mean, I didn't get super creative in this race, but I'm gonna have to go with the 4 Drain the Clock. I know it's Safi outside of Gulfstream, but I'm gonna forgive the Gulfstream race last time out, just because of the Dubai bounce. Right, horse came back. I mean, horse ran a decent number. Lost to Willie Boy, and I mean, I maybe that's unforgivable, but if you kind of throw that race out, I mean, this horse has just run some really, really nice races. I think 6 furlongs is where he wants to go, and most of his bad races happen to be going 7 or maybe 6.5. So I think running 6 again, second time back from Dubai, I think you're going to see an improvement. And I think if he runs back to like a number like his Woody Stevens or even his Gulfstream Sprint before he went to Dubai, I think that puts him right in here. And I think you're going to get all of 4-1, if not a little bit more, just because people aren't going to bet Safi outside of Florida. And pretty sure that this horse beat Jackie's Warrior. So, I mean, we got to go pretty far back to find that, but the horse can have that type of effort, and I think has at least run back to that effort once. So I don't know. I like Drain the Clock here. I think he's on the upswing here. Mark, how did you kind of see this?
Yeah, I mean, not that I want to dunk on your pick or anything, but I think so far on the Del Mar meet, shippers to Del Mar are 0 for 19 or something like that. So I wanted a horse that was not shipping in from outside the state, and I ended up going one outside with Principe Carlo, the 5. Horse should have a pretty good pace advantage here. Is your inside drawn tactical speed should give Victor a lot of choices here. I would imagine he's going to go to the lead and try to wire this. And if you look at this horse's, at least on time form figs, this is a horse that's just been kind of steadily improving. His last 4 or 5, he gets just a little bit faster every single race, and he's run some real nice efforts. He hasn't quite gotten it done. A little bit of a freshening here, and comes back. I think he's really interesting here at 6-1, and I think it's a horse that could potentially again get lost on the board with some of the other names, and you might get 8-1, where this horse is very spot playable. So I kind of landed on Principe Carlo as my top pick.
Oh my God, you're getting too much love in the chat for that one. Jay, where did you see this one?
Yeah, well, Josh, I was going to ask you. I mean, I really wanted to like Drain the Clock, but then you have DVD up, who is like what 0 for 14 to start the meet so far, which kind of concerned me a little bit. Maybe this is
He has yet to hit the board. He's yet to hit the board.
Yeah, even worse. So yeah, I agree with you, Josh. I was really on Drain the Clock as well. But I did a little digging, and so Shaz is working with Country Grammar in the morning, and if you watch the replays of the workouts, the rider on Country Grammar is doing a little bit more of mild urging in towards the stretch versus Shaz. So I don't know if that's just a thing, maybe not read too much into it, but I think I'm going to be on this horse, and I might just play like a wait and see game where, if Shaz runs well, then we'll take a look at Country Grammar later on and see how that plays out.
Not concerned at all about the cutback, or you think that's a positive?
The only thing I've heard is that Bob did mention that the 2-hole is not the ideal situation for this horse. Bob wanted to draw a little bit outside, so that's the part that concerns me, but the cutback really doesn't.
Yeah, I think that the concern here, I thought Shaz was interesting as well in this spot, especially because you're getting, Juan and Baffert for at 7-2. I think, if that you get anywhere near those lines, it's interesting just from a spot play value sort of perspective. My real concern with Shaz is, inside drawn with all the speed outside, does he get really shuffled back and have kind of a rough trip? So how am I? I'm on a 6-1. How am I on the chalk? Come on now.
Well, you're talking about the Shaz at 7-2.
Is Shaz going to be the favorite in here?
Yeah, Shaz is the favorite.
I did not look at morning lines when I looked at this, so
I guess Shaz is.
Yeah, there we go.
No, I thought Shaz was interesting here. I don't hate it. So just it's a sort of trip dynamics. How does Shaz work a trip? But yeah, wouldn't be a shocker, right?
And the last one.
Ouch. I am definitely not Andrew. Andrew is much better looking and much more well-spoken, much more eloquent than I will ever even dream of.
You're lucky he's in the bowling league. He'd be just running circles around you right now.
He would be just absolutely curb stomping me now. And I do think in here, American Theorem does make some sense. He was my other horse that I had as an A. You're getting American Theorem, who seems like that triple bend was a pretty nice improvement. Probably the best race he's run in quite some time, and it looks like this is maybe what he wants to be doing. A little bit running a little bit shorter races. And again, if this does get a little bit spicy on the front end, which it looks like it should on paper, he's kind of your horse that can pick up the pieces. And Joe Bravo is apparently reinvented himself as a Southern California rider. So Bravo's riding right now about as well as anybody else is in that colony that not named Juan. So.
Yeah, Mark just kind of stole my thunder a little bit because I was about to say this horse as well. If you look, it's the only one who has a grade 6 win in 2022, which I think it's, showing that it's in form, it's ready to go. So I agree there.
Yeah, but that was all the poly pop going from Turfway to Santa Anita there. Mark disappeared. Yeah, I see Charles was like, Carlo's going to be short here with all the all of us hammering, but Murphy thinks that he'll float because no one likes Victor or Barasio.
Yeah, I mean, Carlo was what second to Cezanne at one point, I think.
Yeah, it's in the San Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with that. So I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you do have to get a little concerned with Drayden being 0 for 14, but I don't know. I still like Drain the Clock. I mean, I'm assuming that this horse isn't going to take any money, so I'm hoping I'll get closer to 5 or 6-1, but we'll see. It'll be real interesting to see where the money kind of goes here. But I did see some talk in chat about this 6. How be it? Let me see where I saw. There was somewhere in between the chili chat, I believe. Oh, Jay liked it. Jay liked the 6. How be it? Ran 2 huge races, then bounced. given the break, jockey fell off and was the favorite in the last one at Pleasanton. Any interest in the 6 at 20-1?
I mean, if you squint really hard and you assume that somehow that optional 40 and optional 62, class sort of translates to a G1, then I guess you can get there. I think you get every part of 20-1, and probably rightfully so. I mean, if you like the horse, I wouldn't talk anybody off, including him in a ticket. Just, be smart about how you want to include a kind of horse like that, where there are a lot of questions. You need a rebound. You need, I mean, obviously that Pat O'Brien was not a good race. And this seems like the kind of horse who, when stepping up to a little bit better company, just hasn't really shown up. So I always get concerned with those types. I mean, the speed figures are there. If you look back to summer of last year, second off should be kind of the start. Yeah, I mean, okay, there have been worse 20-1s, right?
Yeah, it looks like Nick Feldman also likes the 6. He says the top 3 for him are the 6, the 3, and the 5. The 3 is Spag Boss, which has got Umberto aboard.
Yeah, I know Bag Boss, I believe, has been working with Wayburn, so take that for what you will. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, but I took a long look at this horse. I think I prefer others, but I wouldn't, doubt anyone taking this horse at 8-1.
Yeah, I would agree with what Mark Murph said. I wouldn't fault anybody for taking this horse at 8-1. What Murphy said is his figures are a little bit light, but again, does seem to be kind of improving. Horse likes to win, never miss the exact at this distance. That's the kind of 8-1 you want to take. So a little bit of a step forward here probably is a major player. And there are some very talented horses in here. I don't think there's any monsters in here though. So, this is kind of the spot where you take a horse like that or you include them.
In fairness to Bag Boss, he's won the last 2 races and finished second at 2 before, and he was beaten by Dream Shake and Sayoff. Now Sayoff, is probably more of a turf horse, right? Turf sprinter, I think.
Yeah,
but he won in a synthetic race off the turf. But Dream Shake's a really nice horse.
Very
really
nice
sprinter.
Yeah. Dream Shake's a very nice sprinter. Yep.
I mean,
I will say I'm a little surprised that Greg or Murphy is taking a Churchill shipper, given how bad shippers have been so far at this Del Mar meet, as his second choice. That kind of interesting that he's doing that. So.
It's all right. You just want to be on the first one that wins because you're going to get a nice price on
exactly. You're going to get paid. Yep.
PDT out here are already crowdsourcing names for horses when he wins the Mega Millions. I'm going to say soy sauce.
That may have come up at over drinks last night. I
saw that bright pink drink and I knew that was yours, but then I saw the whiskey drink and I was like, oh, he must be out with Kath.
Yeah. Kath was the whiskey drink. I had the bright pink one. Obviously, that's how things go.
Oh no! Why did this pop up? Kay saying DVD won the 5th race. He's off the snide.
He's off the snide. I was wrong.
Well, Drain the Clock is back on the menu then.
Jay's like, I want to change my answer.
Yep.
But no, this is a fun race. Like Drain the Clock's obviously not the only horse I'm going to use here. I will have other horses. I do like your 5, Principe Carlo. I did look at. Obviously Shaz, but I just assumed Mark was going to be on that since it was a Morning Line favorite. I just like Drain the Clock the best, and I think I'm going to get a good price on it. Ryan saying if anybody's an absinthe drinker, no, but you know what? I need to pick up a bottle of absinthe because last time we were in Vegas, PDT bought me a Sazerac after he had a big hit on roulette, and it was such a nice drink. It was the first time I'd ever had one, and so I've been meaning to buy a bottle of absinthe since.
You've never had the original cocktail, Josh. I'm disappointed in you. And I will say I do love me some absinthe. Of
course you do.
Absinthe neat with an ice cube, or I guess whatever, in a cube is very, very good.
You probably have your own spoon.
I do own my own spoon. I think I own more than one actually.
This freaking guy. It's like he's like the most interesting man in the world over here. You know, he keeps bees. He's got, you know, he's kind of got that like lumberjack look. You know, he helps out at a bakery on Sundays. Like, I mean, the man does everything. He's like a Hallmark Christmas movie over here.
It's pretty impressive.
So I need to get Dave to write a movie about me. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, maybe get Candace Cameron's number.
Okay.
Let's move on to race 9 here. Optional claimer. We'll be going a mile on the turf, and we got a nice field here, nice full field, which has been just has been the like theme throughout this opening 2 weeks at Del Mar. I mean, it's just Caleb said that basically it's like capping Kentucky Downs. It's exhausting. There's just so many horses, and it's been great. I just really like it, even though I haven't had any success, but it's fun. Mile on the turf, we got a full field of 12 here. Your morning line favorite, once again at 7-2, is going to be the 10 Midnight Joster. And that's kind of where I landed on. I took the Capitan approach here. You know, the horses look like the best. I looked kind of at the pace, and I think there's going to be enough pace. I don't think it's going to be something smoldering. I think it's going to be an honest pace here. You're not going to have anyone walking free on the front end. And I think that if there's any, as long as this is not like a super slow pace, I really have a hard time seeing how the 10 loses. You get Umberto Rispoli aboard, and he has just been riding lights out since Del Mar started, and even more so on the turf. I mean, you could just basically bet him blind on the turf at this point. And I'm sure eventually the price is going to come down. The horse is 2 for 4 at Del Mar. And you know, the horse, you know, is kind of not really coming in off form, but hasn't won a race, or hasn't won a race since Del Mar meet last year. But you know, finished third and finished second by a neck, against some nice horses there. So I'm gonna take a look here at the 10. I'm not gonna really look too much further. The only comments I had kind of written down is I think the 6 Goliad, if any of the other pace kind of scratches out, he instantly makes my ticket and may become my top pick. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like you kind of got to see where things land. But I think that Goliad might have a pace advantage here if we get one of these other speeds to scratch out, like the 7 Explosive especially. But that was just kind of the way I saw it. I think the 10 is going to be far and away the best in this spot, though. Jay, how did you kind of see this race? Oh, go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to ask Josh, with your 10, isn't this a little sharp for what the 10 wants? Your 10's over 6 at the distance. You know, it does have a second and a third place showing, and I realize you're getting Umberto, and he's just absolutely riding lights out. There's no denying that, especially on turf. But you know, isn't this a little bit sharp for what this horse wants? I mean, that 0 for 6 really kind of scared me. I sort of landed there and I went, ooh, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I mean, the horse has won at mile and 16th at Del Mar. I'm not going to sweat the hat for long, but I could definitely see that maybe that's going to be an issue. But I don't know. Just the way Umberto, like, I don't want to just like blind bet jocks, but the way Umberto's been riding and just the mounts he's been getting, I mean, like this horse looks the best by a bit, and you get the best jock aboard, and I think you're gonna get I'm not gonna say a favorable pace setup, but you're not gonna get a negative pace setup in this spot. And I think that it just sets up nicely for this 10 here.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is good or bad, but those are the 2 horses that I was on as well. I will say for the 10, it's a pretty small sample size, but I don't think at a mile anyone outside of like the 8 or 9 gate have won yet. But that's only out of like 6 or 7 races. I did think that the 6 could maybe steal it on the front end. It's a little bit of a big ask, but I think that horse will appreciate the stretch out. So those were the same 2 that I'm leaning on.
Yeah, I ended up actually landing on the 6 in here with Wanop Goliad. Josh sort of mentioned the pace scenario here. I think this horse gets pretty loose, and I think Juan can control the pace from the front end. And I Juan is very, very good when he has that sort of tactical pace advantage. And this is a horse that I think this is probably a better distance. Should have that, you're gonna have that tactical speed. Should be able to be positioned really well early, and we'll see if he's good enough late. But I thought that just given the pace scenario and given that honestly you could go about 10 different ways in this race, I think my top choice is the 6. But this is another race where I wouldn't really talk anybody off from a price in here. I thought there were some other ones that were pretty interesting as well. I was amazed that Josh wasn't all about liberal in here.
Well, I mean, I am a big fan of. No, I'm just kidding. Why would you think I'd be a big fan of liberal?
I thought you really liked that horse. I thought that was a horse you've been chasing or something.
No, I don't think so. I think I like this horse like.
And I do know you love some Lope de Vega.
I love Lope de Vega at 2, not at 6.
Not a 6.
At this point,
okay.
this horse should have been retired like 5 times over. Oh, it's a gelding though.
Yeah, but it's coming off a win, Josh. I mean, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some positives. I honestly, the 10 just I think looked much better. But Goliad, more like Gonad, just coming in, just keep on coming in, just yeah. All right. So apparently, I was talking about the wrong J. Murphy says he does like the 10, but he liked the 5 second best closes in the slow turf pace 2 races ago. 2 for 2 on Del Mar turf, but at sprints, and that's kind of where other J landed. The 5 Coalinga Road, 10-1 in the morning line. Favorite trainer has 3 of 5 starters. 3 of 5 starters have run really well. A lot of those horses have had form like this one. Likes the turf. Last work looks like a horse that wants out of the barn. It's a 24 second 2 furlong work. That's a very interesting work. Did you look at this 5 at all, Mark?
I did look at the 5 a little. I think there was one race in there that makes quite a lot of sense. And actually, those short, those blowouts, sort of a day or two before a race, are a very sort of old school trainer angle of sort of flushing. There's some reason that they do it to kind of give flush old blood out of the muscles, or one of those sort of analogies. Yeah, I thought the Coalinga Road did make some sense in here. I just really am concerned about, I don't know if you necessarily want the 4% jock, here. And there's some angles around that make you get scary a little, but a horse is 2 for 2 at Del Mar. So, the horse clearly gets across the going here quite well. And that's always, always something that's nice. So, but again, those were, going much shorter. I think those were both going 5. So, I thought the 5 made some sense in here if you're looking for, you're looking to get outside the super logicals.
Was there anything else you want to touch on in this race?
No, I mean, I think this sequence, to me, this was the race that was probably the hardest. I thought you could go the most different directions here. I thought there were a lot of ways to go. So, no, a bunch of people throwing out a bunch of different horses, and I think all of them make a lot of sense in here. Pretty wide open race.
All right. Let's move on to race 10, the feature. San Diego Handicap. I'm going to go mile in the 16th on the dirt. 3-year-olds and up, and you get the U.S. return, Country Grammar, 5-2 here, coming back from Dubai, and you basically get, I don't know, I want to say all the best West Coast horses that are currently in training in this race. I mean, you get Stiletto Boy, Triple E, Royal Ship, Defunded, and Mandaloon shipping in here. And then, you get There Goes Harvard, who just won a nice race. Parnelli, Senor Buscador. You get a nice. You just get a nice field here. I mean, this is just a good. This is like when you think of a grade 1 type field. This is kind of what you see, and this isn't even a grade 1. It's grade 2 here. So, this is probably one of the best. This is probably one of the best and probably one of the best races we've seen, kind of top to bottom, with this big of a field all year. So I'm really excited to watch this race. I'm kind of excited to bet it. I think Country Grammar might just come and boom me. I'm against in this spot, but Jay, why don't you tell me what you saw this race?
Yeah, so I'm going to take a little bit of a stand here and go with Harvard. This horse has been in the exacta, like, I don't know, 9 out of the last 14 times. The biggest thing for me is I think coming out of the Gold Cup, I just like that last win was off Lasix. So I think there's an advantage here, going into this one being off. And I think 5-1 is a square price. So, it just put up its best fig. I'm going to take a chance against these other ones who I've kind of seen run and know their style, and go with the Harvard University here.
Sorry, I had to explain to Lloyd what less than 3 meant. So Lloyd posted, look, there's 20 people watching. There's only 4 likes. Hit the like button, people. And so I responded to him with a heart. And apparently this confused Lloyd.
I mean,
he's like, "What is that?" So chat was just kind of trying to explain to him, but
yeah. I mean, I would say, well, Josh was explaining, the heart emojis. I ended up landing on the 3 Mandaloon in here, and I think obviously we know Mandaloon has had some absolute shows of brilliance, and then he's also had some sort of clunkers. I'll contribute, his last, that Stephen Foster, up to just being a needing one off the Saudi bounce. And I would imagine this is the target. I think it's really interesting that Brad Cox chose to ship this horse to California when there are a lot of other places that Mandaloon could have run. He could have run him at Saratoga. There's a lot of other options he could have gone to, but he chose to send him out to Del Mar, which to me is a vow of confidence that he's, kind of playing the game of, look what I have. I have a monster. I'm going to go show him off. And I think he's done that in the past when he's got really good horses. And I really, I think this horse is very, very talented. Obviously, he's 6 of 11 lifetime, 2 of 3 at the distance. Your Kentucky Derby winner. I mean, the horse has got all the intrinsics. So I thought the fact if you can get 4-1 on Mandaloon in this race, I just think that's a ton of value. He's a real classy horse, and I'm really interested in seeing him. I know where Josh is going to land here, so I didn't want to talk Josh's horse, but I really like Mandaloon in the spot.
I kind of agree with Nick Feldman here. He says Mandaloon won't hit the board. I think this is a horse in the downfall. I just never liked this horse. So maybe it's just like, I don't know. Maybe it's just bias. But I don't know. I've just never really been like super impressed with this horse. I mean,
I guess My thing is, if you're Brad Cox, who's got a full stable up at Saratoga, why wouldn't why would you pay all that money to ship him out here to run in this race when you could? I mean, I realize it's Judge Mountain, money doesn't really matter, but you could run him at something at Saratoga where the rest of your barn is, and he's been training along, and you'd be fine, right? Or he could be training along for the summer, but you chose to ship him here to go. There's intent there. You're going to show this horse off. That's what you're doing.
I just think that this horse has been exposed against older. I mean, did win the Louisiana, but I mean, he beat Midnight Bourbon, who he's been beaten up on all last year, and he beat Warrant. I mean, I don't know. I like it wasn't. I love the racing at Fairgrounds, but that just like wasn't a super impressive effort. I don't think.
True.
And then you get you get these last 2 efforts, which I mean, like I said, I guess you can forgive Dubai and you forgive the one back, but like I just don't know. I mean, Mandaloon could have come and boom me, but I'm going to be against in this spot. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, I agree with Mark. Why does Cox ship this horse all the way out west? I do think that there is something called the Cox tax. When he does this move, it's kind of a must-use sort of situation. I've been boomed by it more than once, more than 10 times actually. So I agree. I don't like the horse, but I think you have to take a look at the intentions and the move, and there's a reason he's coming all the way out here.
Murphy pointing out that Mandaloon is stabled at Churchill, it looks like. So it's not like he's shipped
Yeah,
from New York.
all the works for Churchill. It's not like he's just stable in Naira. I get it, Greg. But I still think it costs a lot. You're going to have to send an assistant trainer out. You're going to have to send a groom out. You got to ship him on a plane. All those associated costs that you wouldn't have otherwise. So it still, to me, shows intent. But I'm wrong a lot. So
yeah. Mandaloon's last
Josh,
race was strong. Looking at pace numbers per keep pounding. What's up,
Josh? You can talk about your horse.
Oh yeah, I like Stiletto Boy in this spot. I think cutting back to the mile and the eighth, I think is going to be a huge plus for this horse. I just haven't liked any of his mile and a quarter efforts, so I think he's cutting back to mile and 16th. But I just don't think that this horse can handle 10 furlongs. And it just needs less. Needs 8 or 9. I think somewhere between 8 and 9. And if you look at the breeding, I mean, the breeding suggests that as well. That probably a mile and 16th, mile and 8th is the absolute limit. So I think on the cutback, I think you get Juan aboard, and I think that this horse might fly a little bit under the radar because people are going to look at that Gold Cup and they're like, look, 3 of these horses beat this horse. Like why would anyone bet this horse? But I just think that he came up a little short last time out, and I think. If you get that effort, same type of effort you got in the Californian, I mean, I think he's going to be tough to beat in the spot. The only horse in here that I would be afraid of would be the return of Country Grammar, because I think Country Grammar is probably, like, if I had gun to my head right now and I had to pick a horse to win the Breeders' Cup Classic, I'd probably pick Country Grammar at this spot. But I'm going to bet against in the Dubai Bounce. I just think that this horse is gonna be short. Is gonna need one, and clearly this horse I think wants the distance. I think you got tonalist or tap it on top. So I think that this horse has got bigger plans, Pacific Classic, and then to Breeders' Cup, and I think this is just a prep. I mean, Pacific Classic time, I'm betting Country Grammar, but I'm gonna be against in this spot. Unless I somehow get a better price, maybe because I just assume that this horse is going to be 2-1, 9-5, if not less. I mean, people are just going to bet Baffert off the board, but I think that I'm going to get all of 6-1 on Stiletto Boy. So I just think from a value perspective that Stiletto Boy makes the most sense in this spot.
I couldn't agree with you more, Josh. And I also think Stiletto Boy is a bit of a every other type. He seems to fire a really huge figure every other out, and this is the every, right. So I expect a really big performance on Stiletto Boy. He's my other A in here.
Any thoughts on that, Jay? You like Stiletto Boy? Hate it?
Yeah. I like Stiletto Boy too. I bet this horse pretty much every time it's been out. I do agree. I think this is probably a prep for Country Grammar. I think the distance is a little bit shorter than what this horse wants. And I think they're probably just aiming for, the Pacific and the BC. So I agree there.
What else? I think I had another horse. Mandaloon had the question mark, and that was, like I said, not really a fan of the horse in this spot. I saw a ton of talk in chat about the 2 defunded. After explaining what the heart emoji was, I saw that Murphy says, gun to my head, he'd probably bet defunded just because the route seems so biased for speed. So, and yeah, it looks like defunded is probably going to be your speed in this spot. Let me see.
Abel will invent a new way to screw this up, though, because Abel is talented.
Nick Feldman, also a big fan of defunded, and he likes Tripoli in second, also known as Chipotle.
I mean, he has the right jocks, so.
Who Tripoli is?
Yeah.
Oh,
Thiago.
Tiago's aboard. Oh, thank God.
Tiago's aboard. I mean, you want Tiago on Tripoli.
I think you just
The
need
two of
to
them are a match made in heaven. They're perfect for one another.
You just have to look at the rest of the card. If Tiago has not won a race yet, you have to bet this horse because Tiago likes to fuck up.
Yeah.
The Tiago fuck you race is always looming at Del Mar. So going back to defunded last time, this is from Nick. Defunded last time at this distance, ran his best speed figure last time out. Ran a huge race back with Baffert and Tripoli. Has one of his best races at Del Mar in this race last year, top 2. So and Tripoli, which is another. That makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting that Baffert flies Johnny V in, who's never ridden Country Grammar before. He could have put him up on another horse, but he keeps Abel on Defunded. I think I think Defunded is a bit of an outsider looking in. Again, wouldn't be a shocker if he wins. It's Baffert and Abel, and those connections obviously do their stuff, but just felt a little bit like I wanted to go someplace else here.
Yeah, I agree. Of the 2 Bafferts, I would probably take the 2.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I just don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm just blinded by how much I like Stiletto Boy in this spot. But
yeah,
I will definitely have win money on this horse.
I mean,
guess first, yeah.
No, sorry, I was just gonna say, like, Josh, for Stiletto, do you think like this is like a full send operation? Like, what are the tactics here? Like, how does this horse win?
That's a good point. I think Defunded might be faster early. But I mean, in the Californian, I mean, the horse set some decent fractions, went 46 and 1 to the half. So it wasn't like he just was lollygagging out there on the front end. But yeah, that's actually a good point. I haven't really thought about how they're gonna ride this horse. I mean, if Defunded gets sent, right. I guess he's gonna sit in second, but it seems like he's only one, basically going wire to wire.
He's only ever wired races. I think that's the scary part about him. Can he actually pass other horses, specifically in the stretch, if he's not on the lead? That's a question mark. But there's a certain price where you're willing to pay that question mark, and right, 6 to 1 might be about that price for me.
Stuart Guthrie saying, "Imagine believing these SA figs." So he's not about the Santa Anita figs. I mean, we're still in the state of California, so, and I don't know. I'm guessing Stewart's likes the he must like Mandaloun. Yeah, he must really like Mandaloun.
So Case kind of planned the longer of the 2 price Bafferts angle here. Is that a Baffert thing? Because I mean, if it was Chad Brown here, I would be all about the longer Chad because Chad does that all the time, or the longer Todd Pletcher. But I think Baffert's tends to be the logical Baffert is the one that wins normally, right?
The only time that happens is in the Santa Anita Derby when his
or if there's some sort of like, oh, this horse needs more points to make the gate for the Derby, therefore the longer priced one wins, right?
Yep.
When you're playing those types of games. But I think when you look at 2 Bafferts, and normally the better Baffert on paper is the one that's the live Baffert.
I mean, I can think of 2 times in the Santa Anita Derby he's done it. One was Roadster, and then obviously Taiba this year. So, but anything else in this race before we close it out with race 11? No one likes Royal Ship, huh?
No,
I mean, man, that horse has kind of been exposed, right?
I mean, otherwise, basically. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say that 2021 California was really good, but like, I think this is a horse that kind of gets exposed for its better company.
Fair enough. That was basically like the only one of the short price horses we didn't really talk about. So I just Figure I'd toss it out there. So congratulations to Royal Ship, the winner of the 2022 San Diego, since it was the only horse we didn't talk about. Actually, since it is a handicap, how many? What's Country Grammar is carrying 125. Still all the boys 120, Mandolin 121. So there's not really a huge weight difference. I think like I'm not a big weight person like at all. I think like you need to get to like 10 or 15 pounds before maybe you can kind of start to use it, but I don't know. I'm not a huge believer in that either.
Yeah, but that's what I think Jackie is giving up is like in that 10 range, I believe.
All right, let's close this out. How are we gonna cash this pick for race 11, mile on the turf? Been a lot of turf racing, Del Mar. We don't have to worry about it getting rained off because apparently it doesn't rain in California, which has been a huge problem actually. But you get a full field of 14. Are these AEs? Yes. So it's a full field of 12. You got 2 AEs, 13 and 14. Your 14 is actually the favorite, I think, at 5-2. But he will need to draw in. Outside of that, I believe you have the 4 leisure wear at 7-2, Vivando at 4-1, Angel Nadeshiko at 5-1. Man, why are all the hard to pronounce names in this last race? Anyways, we talked about the short prices here, but Mark, where did you kind of land on this race?
Yeah, so I think, I'm looking at this pick 4 sequence, and I think this is the race that I want to get the most aggressive in. And I ended up on the 3, Lady Clementine. You're getting Joe Bravo, who's absolutely riding lights out so far on the meet. You're getting a horse that has a ton of turf pedigree top and bottom and has never gotten on turf. And you're getting a horse that's getting Lasix for the first time. I won't try to say George's last name, but he has done very well with first-time in North American shippers, and he's done very well with first-time in his barn shippers, or horses first time in his barn. This is a horse that, again, I'm probably getting cute here to a horse I don't really have a solid like past performance angle where I'm expecting him to step forward. I'm just assuming that this horse is going to handle the surface. You're getting trainers for really live connections. You're getting Lasix for the first time that may move this horse up substantially. And you're getting, a jock that's just real hot right now and is probably drawn in the right spot for a turf mile at Del Mar. So, I think with all those things, I want to get pretty aggressive to the 3 here, Lady Clementine.
What about you, Jay?
Yeah, well, I saw you had an A on the 12, and that was my pick as well. I think if you look at the North American debut, if you watch that replay, this horse just had every trouble you could have during a trip, especially at the start. It got pinched back. It started passing horses a little bit around the turn. And then during the stretch run, it was just completely blocked in. I think the winner out of that race came back with like a decently strong bear, which kind of fits in this field. The only problem with this horse is that I don't think you're going to get 6-1. I think this horse is probably going to float down a little bit and be more towards favoritism. But this is the one I like. If anything, I would probably single this horse in the pick 4.
Doesn't it scare you a little bit, this horse, from with that draw specifically, drawn way outside at a mile, short run up into the first corner? You're talking a horse that's going to, has the potential to get floated very wide around that first corner if Umberto can't get position. It just seems like there's, and again, I agree with you. I think this horse takes a lot of money, but you're probably talking a horse that maybe goes off at 4-1 or maybe even shorter, who has all of those. Just the post is so tough. I would think being drawn that outside.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like it's not an ideal spot, right? But I think on a pedigree side, this horse definitely wants this distance, and I think just going a little bit longer, like this horse can get there even from like an outside post. So that's what I'm banking on. But I agree with you. I don't love it. I'm not crazy about 12. So
Murphy saying that he liked a 12 in the last. Rispoli gave an Old Yeller type ride last time, which I've never heard before.
I've never heard that, but that's going to be a thing now. I don't know what it is. I don't know how we use it, but Murphy needs to describe what an Old Yeller ride is so that I can use it appropriately.
He said he's surprised Mullins gave him another shot. And the 12 was winning last time if he didn't run into the ass of the whole field in the turn. And honestly, I was just looking at this horse and looking at its pedigree. I was shocked that they tried this horse at 6 furlongs. Looking at the replay, the horse has a kick. I mean, he's got that turf kick. So hopefully Rispoli will be able to amend for his past sins here.
That pedigree is very turf miler, top and bottom. So yeah, agreed.
I mean, turf miler or longer,
or even or even a little further. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, were either of you interested in the 14 if it does draw in? I believe that was the morning line favorite.
My concern with the 14 is just this is a horse that's hung 4 times in a row, and these horses who consistently hang and don't get class relief. I realize long layoff, but Mandela Barnes been a little bit cold. I get why that horse is interesting, but man, horses that hang that many times in a row normally need a little class relief to get it done. And if this horse does draw in, the horse is going to be basically starting for the parking lot. So it's a horse that I'm okay with it taking money because I can get value other places.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I didn't know. If it does draw in, it's going to take money. So.
Oh God, Greg Murphy, that's brutal. No, I was gonna say, Josh, I personally want a horse more drawn inside, and I guess I landed on the 3 more because I didn't find another one that was drawn inside. I thought the 6 maybe a little bit too, but which I think is Juan's second choice if the 14 doesn't draw in. But again, a horse that probably needs a little step forward, and I don't know beyond draw how this one really gets it done. So.
Yeah, Nick is a big fan of Cura here. Horse debuted on dirt at a mile. Now comes to turf. Great turf breeding for turf. That's a lot of turf. And coming off what looks like some good training sequences here.
I will let
God Mike Smith.
I will let the 4% first time turf trainer with Mike Smith up beat me all day and every Saturday.
Interesting. I see 7% first time turf.
Mine's probably going back 5 years. Might be only 3.
Yeah.
So, but still, I mean, the difference between 4 and 7 here probably doesn't change the narrative that it's a horse that on connections probably takes money, but is going to be overbet on the board relative to chance to win.
Oh my God. Yeah, like the 4 here, Leisurewear, who's the favorite that's drawn in. I mean, this is just an 0-for-8 maiden. This is just, I think, a money burner. So I was just trying to get around this 4. So yeah, 12. I landed on the 12 too, just like you, Jay. Same reasons. Another horse I was interested in was this 8 horse, Quick Romance. Just set out and got the lead, going 6.5 furlongs with Brice Blanc aboard, and obviously just tired as soon as he hit the top of the stretch and finished way off the board. But we're going back and looking at this pedigree. You got Kingman. I think that this horse wants to go longer, and you're getting 30-1. And I know Brice Blanc is a 5%, 5% jock for the past year, but I don't think he's as bad as the percentages show. I don't think he really gets that quality amount. And this horse is coming off some nice works. So I thought that this was definitely a horse to look at just a completely absurd price, 30-1.
Yeah, I agree with you. The one thing is, when you look at this race, there are a lot of horses that have had 6, 7, 8 chances and haven't gotten it done. And those are the kind of horses that I want class relief before I'm interested in them. This is a maiden that's second start. The horse had every. It's not uncommon for maidens to get really cranked up and just get overworked going to the gate and then kind of blow themselves. Go stupid fast and blow up. Right, like that. That's not uncommon. They paid $500,000 for this horse. There were definitely some expectations there. it wouldn't surprise me if this one has quite a bit of talent. I mean, the pedigree is absolutely amazing. That's a really cool pedigree, and I would be much more interested in somebody like that 8 Quick Romance than I would if somebody mentioned the 4 or the 1 or the 2. A bunch of these horses that have had a lot of starts. I'd much rather take the horse that's getting its second start, maybe get some of those jitters, out of the way. Obviously, dueled and went a little stupid the first time out, and does this horse improve with a little bit of a stretch out, probably to a better distance, and with that first start out of the way. So I like your horse quite a bit, Josh. Actually,
Yeah, and Charles is also talking about the 9 here, Lilac Starlight. He thinks has the right profile and bloodline to take this out. Looks like, yeah, for sure, looks like a miler type, and is coming from 5 furlong races, so maybe a little bit of distance might help this horse.
yeah, I mean, I don't hate that horse, but I would like to see more for the first start in the Urton barn.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If Yurton doesn't want it, then I probably don't either.
Exactly. Yeah, the horse is out of the Urton barn, and that first start was not much out of the Urton barn. Did Sean McCarthy really move up a horse out of the Urton barn? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, in fairness, he did lose to the sequel of 8 Rings, 10 Rings. So,
Is 8 rings 2 rings better than 10 rings?
no, I think it's the other way around. 10 Rings is 2 rings better than 8 Rings.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that's
Poor Mark. Oh man. But yeah, no, it's a fun sequence. I'm excited to bet Del Mar on Saturday. I wish I could say the same for Saratoga, but they can't all be bangers. So, what did you look at Friday's card at all, Mark?
Yeah, the Friday card at Saratoga is phenomenal. Of this 5-day week, the Friday card is by far and away the best. There's a lot of horses race I'm super interested, and I guess what makes me interested in a race is races where I see high calamity factor. I'm saying where I'm getting to prices that I'm not having to really stretch to get to. Those are what I like because those tend to juice up payouts. So I'm super interested in the Friday card. Saturday card, I think the early pick 5 is real interesting. Those two probably chalkier races sort of water down the late. But I realized there was a little Murphy context here where he wants to talk about this 11. So have at it, Josh.
What did you like this 11? I didn't like the 11.
I did not like the 11. I don't understand why Greg likes the 11 because this is a horse that's basically run the same race 4 times in a row, has never really been close, does not seem to be improving. I don't understand why this start is any different. You're getting a 4% jock. I don't know what Greg is getting to in here. But oftentimes he has these sort of outsider angles, so I'm interested to see what he has here. These 11.
Charles also likes the 11. So,
and I will say it's been brought up a couple times in chat. Well, I'm sure Greg is typing an essay on why he likes this horse. That the Belmont Fall Meet was moved to Aqueduct. I could not be happier for that to happen because Aqueduct is just a better track than Belmont. That is all.
So Murphy saying he thought there was a Naira special last time out of a graded stake winner Strike Charmer, more friendly turf to closers than SA.
You could, Greg. You do you. You're better at this than I am, but I wouldn't touch that horse with a 10-foot pole until that horse shows quite a bit more. And I don't see. I think for these types of races, you're looking for something to change. Hey, we're changing the distance. We're changing jockey. We're doing, we're adding Lasix. We're doing something that's going to move that horse up. I just don't see it. Besides the change of circuit, maybe Delmar is a little more friendly to closers, but I'm just not seeing it. But again, Greg is sharp. So if he's on it, sure.
Yeah, I am not seeing it either. Maybe the second start out, you could make an argument it closed well, but outside of that, it doesn't look like much to me.
No, I mean this
horse has been consistently kind of beaten up. hasn't hit the board at this distance. Again, this to me feels like one of those horses I sort of mentioned that feels like it needs some class relief in this race. I would love to see this horse in you drop down to a maiden 50, and I'd be a little more interested. But back at this level, I don't really think just the change of venues really moves this one up, at least in my eyes. But again, I'm often wrong.
Dude, there was no Gege note on this horse, Jay?
Maybe there should be. I'm not seeing one, so.
Okay. My favorite are the ones where you're like, I don't know, I'm buzzed. That looked really impressive, but maybe I'm just drunk. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe Murphy here has a good note that we just don't know about, and he hasn't shared it yet, so he might be sitting on it.
Not enough Presidentes to get to that horse.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he's saying Naira special last time out, which is implies that there was no pace in the race, and whatever, somebody walked the dog on the front end, right? But how do you explain the other three before that? I mean, one time, sure, but this is the horse's fifth start, and the horse has basically run the same race its last four. So, sure, but that's a stretch for me. And there are other prices like Josh's 8 that I would be much more interested. Second start, we're getting some changes than I am necessarily with a horse that we're seeing a lot of already.
Yeah, I'm actually more surprised that no one has really mentioned the 2 getting back on turf, especially after that last dirt fig. But maybe it's not on anyone else's radar either.
I thought that horse was somewhat interesting. Obviously, that last dirt. I guess my thing is, why are they going to turf on a horse that threw a massive dirt fig last out? It kind of felt to me like, why wouldn't you try dirt again? This one seems to be liking that, and pedigree that can pedigree that can run on really anything. It seems interesting to try and turf again, but Rispoli gets off, and you're getting, I don't remember if this is the good Declan or the bad Declan, but you're getting a Declan here who I don't imagine is getting choice mounts on the West Coast.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us, at least until Saturday. And I've had the scrolling here, so make sure you join us Saturday at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Eastern for the Saturday starting gate. Will be an hour before first post at Saratoga, basically. And we'll be just, talking probably the Saratoga early sequence. We didn't really talk about it this today. So we'll probably talk more Saratoga and see if things change. Maybe, I don't know, maybe horses get added to the card somehow. That can happen, right?
I'll tell you, the early sequence on Saturday is very good. I think we kind of poo-pooed the late because it's a little chalky, or appears to be a little chalky. But the early sequence is really good. So we can. I have some plays on the early that I'll be giving out, assuming that I can get my my AV setup working on track, and it'll be a fun time.
Jay, where can people find you?
There is my Twitter handle there, although to be fair, I post like once every 6 months. So, but feel free to reach out, send me a message, what have you. I'm more than happy to talk.
Yeah, no, we love having you on, man. Thank you for filling in. I already saw Jay Murphy say that you're giving Caleb a run for most handsome guy in the stream. So,
well, I didn't tell you this, but Murphy is actually my mom's alternate YouTube account. So thanks, Mom. Appreciate that.
And then Mark, you'll be on site on Saturday, and
I'll be on
we
track
will
Saturday and Sunday.
track,
Anybody, if you're somebody watching the show, or feel free to ping me. I will be around both days. Stop by, say hi.
Yeah, and I will try my best not after stream not to get too drunk with Caleb and not just post a bunch of drunk videos on Twitter. So
why would you do that? That sounds like an amazing time. I can't think of much better.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
But drunk Caleb videos, I mean, that's good for clicks.
He says you did a great job, son. Love you.
Thanks, Mom.
But yeah, you can catch us at wrong_lead on Twitter. Obviously, all of our Twitter handles are here. We'll be live once again on Saturday, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern. Go to ontherwronglead.com. We got T-shirts and other stuff there. And I'm telling you, man, I'm going to make a push to actually start writing because I've missed actually writing stuff. So, and if any of you guys are interested, doing any kind of riding, doing any, hopping on stream, always feel free to reach out to me or the Wrong Lead Twitter, and we'll definitely work stuff out. Nick came on last week. Was it last week? I believe it was last week. Or was it 2 weeks ago?
I think it was 2 ago.
2 weeks ago?
Because it was the normal threesome last week. I think it was 2 ago because I couldn't make 2 ago.
Yep. But that's going to do it for us. So we will catch you guys later. Shadow, keep pounding.